We are live.
We're talking about the Lord of the Rings here. Hello,
This is
and
not
welcome
the
to the
day
Catholic Answers live. What is it today? It's Shrove Tuesday, the Shrove Tuesday show. I'm Cy Kellett, your host, so to speak. This is Todd Aguilar, the director of publishing here at Catholic Answers. He's our guest, and here we have Edgar Lueno, co-host of the show.
That's right, co-host. Thank you.
Shrove Tuesday. You familiar with that?
A shrove is it's like a plant or something, right? It's like you grind it down and...
That is not correct at all.
No?
You know for a fact that that's not correct. You already know it.
I put some in my curry the other day. It's got to be.
You did not. You have been shriven, however, before. I know you've been shriven.
I have been shriven.
Have you ever gotten short shrift?
Short shrifted?
Short shrift is that's when the being shriven in the Catholic Church means to have your sins absolved by the Catholic priest in the sacrament.
So does that mean that we're all supposed to go to confession today?
If you get, won't hurt, but if you get short shrift, that means the priest didn't really pay attention to you. He just that's where that phrase comes from.
But we're still shriven.
But you're still shriven, yeah.
Ex opere
Some people
operato.
enjoy short shrift.
Yes.
They're like, they would prefer the priest just get this over with. It already hurts enough, Father. Could you just get onto it? What about Pancake Tuesday? You familiar with that? Pancake Tuesday?
That's more kind of a southern thing, isn't it? I associate that with like New Orleans, and isn't that where they have the pancakes?
I've never heard of this
You
before.
I
I heard fried fish fries, and
I heard it's in the UK.
I think it has something to do with oil and eggs. I think those goes into pancakes.
Right.
Yeah.
That is exactly right. Yeah. And in the Eastern Orthodox, this is called Cheese Fair Tuesday. Some people call it Cheese Fair Tuesday because you got to eat up the cheese, I guess.
Yeah, I have a Melkite friend, and he would just pound down the mozzarella sticks on this day. No, really.
Because he can't during the Great Lent, the Orthodox can't have
They
any
don't eat
cheese
any of that stuff.
or no dairy.
No dairy.
well, isn't that how Mardi Gras? And when we started, you just eat up whatever is in your pantry. That
We hadn't gotten to Mardi Gras, but that is another name for today. Yes.
yes, okay.
Well,
Shrove
eating
Tuesday.
and drinking and partying. Although, what's another name? Okay, we did Pancake Tuesday, Mardi Gras, Cheese Fair Tuesday. What else?
Oh, Fasching in German-speaking countries, they have Fasching. Fasching.
It's called Fasching.
Fasching.
Oh yeah, Fasching in parts of Germany and Sweden. But I guess because it's the start of fasting. Is that
I don't know what Fasching means in German, but it
so
sounds a
you-
lot like
and
fasting.
yet you're saying it here.
I just can pronounce the word. I don't know what it means. It's like Greek.
You got any others for today? What today is? You said Mardi Gras, right? Did you say
Yeah.
Fat Tuesday? You know what Fat Tuesday means?
It's in
Mardi
Spanish.
Gras.
Martes grasoso.
Is that in Espanol? And do they actually say that, or is there another Carnival or something like that? Oop, I gave another one.
They
I
give it a-
was
that's
keeping that
Braz-
one in reserve.
That's
Oh, you were?
Brazil. That's Brazil. That's not.
And Italy. Venice
And
has a
Italy,
very
yeah, fair
famous
enough.
Carnival.
I think it's the Mediterranean has Carnival, like the Mediterranean people. That's
Well,
what I
Brazil definitely does. He's right. Brazil is famous for its somewhat decadent festival there, yeah.
Yeah.
Borderline pagan.
I would say so.
Yeah. It's not even borderline at some point.
Cross it over the other side, yeah.
In Poland, it's called Paki Day, Pakzi, Pakchi Day. I don't know how to pronounce.
It's one of those words you read but don't know how to say.
A Pakchi is a rich filled donut. I must have some Polish in me because I want a donut. Also in Iceland, Bóludagur.
Good Bolladogger to you, sir.
Thank you. It means Buns Day.
So they're just naming it after all the stuff that you need to eat before going.
Yeah, because they eat buns. They eat a cream-filled bun. I'm gonna cough. I think you better take over.
This is great. This is like Parade of Nations here. We're going through the rich cultural history, courtesy of
the day before Lent. Oh, it's the day before Ash Wednesday.
Excuse my coughing, but do you think that Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, Carnival, Pancake Day, all of that is good or bad? Like, do you think it's a good Catholic thing that we have, or bad?
I think it's at root good. Yes, I would say good.
Another opportunity to party it up before you have to go into the Great Fast. Why not?
We don't really do a great fast.
No,
Church.
we don't even do a good fast. We do like a meh fast in the West.
This is the greatest fast that we have in the West at the moment. Because what other fast is there? that we as Catholics
Slim
are doing.
fast. We do that, and we do what's that other thing? That kind of fasting that Jimmy does.
Intermittent fasting.
Intermittent
Oh,
fasting. Yeah.
The
But
non-religious
as far as a
fastings,
religious fast,
this is the great
well,
fast.
they used to do the black fast in or the early medieval period. I think Father Bernander taught us about that. Do you remember when he taught us about the black fast?
no, tell
I
us
think
about
it's
it.
just water
Oh no way!
until sundown or until the last meal of the day.
Hey, weren't some monks? Didn't they live off of just beer for the longest time?
Well, it's
for
liquid
Lent?
bread.
That's true.
Yeah. No, you get a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of calories.
Especially the old timey beer that had probably unfiltered, chunky things in it floating around in it.
Yeah, John Sorensen would call that chunky beer.
Chunky
Yes.
beer.
He likes his beer chunky.
That's
Beer
cool.
you eat with a fork.
There you go. I mean, pay to be a monk, right? I guess during Lent.
Well, a weird coincidence this year with Lent is it's coinciding with Ramadan. And do they have any? Do the Muslims have any like pre-Ramadan fun or no? Do either of you know?
Yeah, when the sun goes down and that's when you feast.
They have fun every day of Ramadan.
Oh yeah, every day of Ramadan. is a
You
feast,
pointed
huh?
something out the other day when we were talking about this. I didn't realize that they actually gain weight during Ramadan.
You know, that's something that one reads sometimes.
I would if I was Muslim. I definitely would gain weight during Ramadan.
There was a show on TLC, I think. It was about Muslims in Dearborn. This was like 10, 15 years ago. I don't know if you remember the show, but I remember watching an episode and it was during Ramadan and it was a feast. Because you think of, oh, this is when they're fasting and they're not even drinking water during the day.
They don't even drink water during the
No,
day?
nothing. They can't consume anything.
That's
and,
wrong. They need to consult their physician.
But the moment
Hydrate or
the sun
dihydrate?
goes down, it's something else. It's like a massive feast, and that was shocking to me.
And you know, not eating or drinking till the sun goes down is nothing to sneeze at. So you know, that's a more kind of legalistic approach to fasting. That seems to be about the letter more than the spirit. But even the letter is an accomplishment. I don't want to go all day without eating.
That's true.
Daylight without eating.
And no water.
Even if there's a big old sheep waiting for me to eat at the end of it.
Did you see the article in Crisis Magazine on why we shouldn't compare? 'Cause the basic thesis of Crisis Magazine was, look, Ramadan starts today or tomorrow, depending on something, I don't know, how the moon is interpreted where you are, but so Lent and Ramadan basically starting on the same day. The thesis of the Crisis Magazine piece was, well, we're going to get a lot of comparisons of Ramadan and Lent, and it was about why you really shouldn't compare Lent to Ramadan.
What were its main points?
As I recall, and that's a big caveat, as I recall, it had to do with the relationship with God that the Christian, that's implied in the Christian fast, and a very different relationship with God that's implied in the Muslim fast. So it wasn't so much about it's tougher on them or tougher, you know, like none of us fast like the Orthodox, all right? If it's going to be that kind of contest, they win. But the idea was that, look, the in the Christian ideation, God is love, and the point of our fasting is to be more conformed to the love of God. And so Easter, of course, is part of that, the looking forward to Easter. Ramadan does not look forward to a feast like Easter. But mostly, I think what the Crisis Magazine piece was doing was giving not a practical, this is what's different between the Muslims and us, but a theological, we're not doing the same thing at all, because the Muslims don't believe that God is love. And they don't believe that, they believe that what you're doing in Ramadan is following God's command.
So it's
not
obedience
becoming like God.
to a God who's pure will, rather than a kind of, as you say, becoming
Rather than
conformed to God's love
conformity to a God of love.
through self-discipline, or
That seemed about on to me. I believed it. I don't always believe what I read in Crisis Magazine. I mean, sometimes it gets a little.
I think that tracks, though.
What, that I don't always believe what's in Crisis Magazine?
No, the connection between the differences between Christian and Muslim theology,
I think so.
And the spirit of these two penitential periods that we have.
Right, because there's a lot of, you can do all kinds of penance, and it would mean something different than the penance, which is meant to restore one to the relationship with a loving God. I mean, that's a pretty big theological difference between Christianity and everything else. God is love. So you could probably point to just about everything that Christians do and say, look, nobody else says God is love. No other religion says it. No other philosophy says it. It was if St. John hadn't said it, I think in his first letter, no one on earth ever would have said it. God is love that's the difference between Christianity and everything else.
I wonder if you could say there's a difference too between Catholic and possibly Orthodox Christianity and Protestantism. The idea that driving your body through self-mortification and everything we do, in fact, does conform us more to God's image. I think certainly in some strands of Protestantism, correct me if I'm wrong, there isn't this innate sense that that by our own cooperation with God's grace, we become more like Him, become transformed.
No, I think that is exactly missing.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole, and I don't know Protestant theology all that well. So, but the whole kind of right from the days of Luther, this idea of like snow covering over a dung heap. The idea that it's Christ covering over our faults. It's not the transformation of the self to be alter Christi.
As my contractor who's working on my kitchen right now, I think I told you about him, that we were talking about really good religious subjects, and he's a born Catholic, become Christian, and we were talking about salvation, and he says, well, we believe is that Jesus sneaks us into the club. Like we're trying to get into this club, and the bouncer sees Jesus, and Jesus is like, oh, he's with me. Yeah. He kind of puts us under his coat there and sneaks us into the club. And I was like, well, Catholics view it more as Christ's grace essentially changes us, so that we not that we become worthy of heaven in an inherent sense. Our worthiness is entirely thanks to the grace that Christ won on the cross.
But we are made
worthy. But we are, yes.
That's the part that I think that a lot of Protestants would be ashamed to say, when you go to heaven, the reason you go to heaven is because you are worthy of heaven. That's what God does for you. He doesn't just cover over your sins. And we actually have several prayers in the Catholic Church that conclude with, make us worthy of the promises of Christ. And that's a crazy theology in a way, that we won't go to heaven just because Jesus smuggles us in there. We'll go
Which
to
makes
heaven.
all the sense in the world. That's almost very Chestertonian. That would be the logical way if you were just thinking about it.
Right.
Just like the logical thing is that the Eucharist is really just bread.
Yes, right. It's outrageous to think the way Catholics think, but it's outrageously true that He is going to make us worthy of Him. That's a pretty big deal. I mean, that's what I suppose the Orthodox would call theosis. Or if they were really Orthodox, theosis. But we would call divinization.
Is that where you try to find water in the ground?
I have said that, divination, before. Yes, we believe, Catholics believe in divination. Well, I mean, it's okay, but that's not really the thing we're going for. But yeah, this idea of being made like God, that's an insane idea, but that's what Christianity really is. Real Christianity. If your Christianity does not end up with you being like God, it ain't real. It's not the Christianity that Jesus taught. It's just not.
That's heavy.
It is heavy.
It reminds me of old fairy tale movies, where the old Disney, where in order for the person to be where they're supposed to be, they are actually transformed. And it feels like almost in today's movies, it's like you don't need to be transformed. You just need to embrace who you
need
currently
to accept
are.
yourself.
Yeah, so it almost feels like Catholic theology versus almost Protestant theology.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Just embrace the grittiness that you are, the horrible sides of you, and that's who you really are.
Dumbo had the power to fly the whole time. He didn't need the magic feather.
He didn't need the magic feather. And then what's
Boy, did I hate that movie as a kid.
Did you?
That was scary. That and Pinocchio.
Never seen it.
Pinocchio terrorized me as a child.
Huh.
They turned into donkeys. Like boys turned into donkeys. That scared me. A donkey is.
I've never watched that movie. So I can't-
Burro.
What is it? You know, I do speak English as well, so
Que bueno, que perfecto.
Can I go back to something that
Yeah.
Edgar said a minute ago? Edgar, when you said, another excuse for Catholics to party, you sounded like there was just a tinge of cynicism in your voice there.
well,
What's your problem with Mardi Gras?
I don't know if I necessarily have one, but at the same time, I guess I do. It's an excuse to party, and people get way too carried away.
Way too, yes.
And it almost feels like if you're just starting on Tuesday, you're starting a little late, because if it almost feels like some places start Mardi Gras the
sure.
weekend before
Or weeks before in some
or
places.
weeks before.
Yeah.
So, I don't always think it's necessarily a good thing.
But is
'cause
that a corruption of it, or is that something that's built into the ethos of Mardi Gras itself?
I would say that it's definitely a corruption.
All right.
I mean,
Yeah, so you would say Mardi Gras is a good, healthy thing. It's an excessive Mardi Gras that's bad.
and I think that happens with any and all. I would hone it down to Catholic celebrations. So, you mentioned that I speak Spanish. Did I ever tell you that I'm actually Mexican? I come from a Mexican background. Who would have thought, right? So Mexicans have this wonderful tendency still in Mexico to celebrate their feast days from the parishes. So the Catholic Church is still the center of town, and then they have the little plaza out front. They still celebrate the feast of the parish, and the problem is, it starts off good, celebrating Mass and,
But then everybody gets wasted.
and then everybody gets wasted afterwards. And it's like a massive weekend celebration. And it's literally just bottles everywhere on the street.
Sounds like you're describing St. Patrick's Day.
Or the wedding at Cana.
Like I said, Catholics.
Yeah.
So-
Here's my yes, I do think that is excessive, and I don't think Jesus in making the wine was saying drink to excess. There's no suggestion of that, but
but it was too.
what about this? Like, people sometimes have the attitude like, if you're really angry, if you just get it out, you'll feel better. And more studies, psychological studies, say actually the unhealthiest people are the people who get their anger out, who express their rage ragefully. And that actually, if you just show a little self-control and don't do that, you become less angry. You develop less of a habit of rage. So, I'm not going to test this theory. I'm going to continue to be a rageaholic, but that's this idea of get it out of your system before you go into that. I'm not convinced that is
Like it's
actually
cathartic, but that doesn't work for you, that theory.
I don't think that theory is correct. No, I don't. Like, if you were on death row, okay, let's just say you're a dead man walking, and they go, you can have whatever you want for your final meal. Wouldn't you kind of be like, I'm not going to have a giant, I'm gonna do a little penance here before I go. I'm not going to, I think having a big blowout before a holy thing, I'm not sure I'm convinced that that's true.
I've wrestled with this myself, Si.
About if you were on death row?
Well, I want to eat as much as I can, so I leave a messy corpse. No,
Yeah.
I want to. One hears all the time. It's said, "Oh, Catholics, we know how to fast and feast. We kind of have this both and thing going on," and I think we make too much of that for various reasons. But with regard to Mardi Gras, without a doubt, we take it to excess, where it's co-opted by those who aren't even planning to practice any Lenten disciplines at all, and it's just a big party.
Right.
That happens a lot. It gets paganized. But unlike the feasting of Easter, which is a feast of joy,
Right.
there's something about the farewell to the meat before Lent that's got a tinge of sadness to it. There's a practical side to it. Back when you couldn't store, I guess, some of these things, you had to consume them.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of it were rooted in that pre-refrigeration days. But it's also it's like saying goodbye to a friend who's about to leave on a long voyage or something. And
Right.
yes, there's an element of indulgence in sensory pleasures, particularly food, and a kind of one last hurrah thing. But it's not really feasting in that you have something you're rejoicing about for an extended period.
Really,
I don't know if that tracks with anybody, but the tinge of, that's the way I feel, because you're like staring into the abyss while you're eating that last hamburger.
God's making me not have any fun for the next 46 days.
Why do you think I'm drinking this right now?
I'm going to have a last tequila beverage tonight for 40 days.
Okay.
But I'm not going to get crazy with it. It's a kind of, okay, old friend, putting you back in the cabinet. Maybe I have a better relationship with alcohol. The way I'm talking about this.
It's like someone binging right before they go on a diet. That's what it feels like.
It does have a little bit of that feeling, yeah. And I'm not sure that's really quite right.
By the way,
I don't know if that'll work for you.
Your tequila will be preserved after 40 days when you come back.
It's going to be. It stays good. I don't have to put it in the fridge.
I don't think. Yeah, I think you're.
That's a
really
relief.
fine. Yeah. Although I do have a whole case of this that I have to.
You're gonna drink a case of whatever that is?
No, probably.
What's it called? It's called.
We need a sponsorship. C4. So C4 Jolly Rancher flavor made with natural flavoring. And
My
natural
heart
color.
is exploding just hearing you describe that.
So are you? Let me ask you this: are you giving up alcohol for Lent, or do you just associate Lent with a time of not having alcohol? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Well, both.
yeah.
My own approach to Lenten sacrifices has matured, I hope, and it's not just the one thing or get rid of the chocolate. It's an overarching mentality of kind of almost minute by minute rejecting, if you can, the small pleasure, whether it's the butter on my bread or it's putting salt in soup.
You eat bread during Lent?
No, it's a saying no to oneself in the small things,
right?
So you can say yes to God. That's the essence of it.
Before I ask you what you're going to give up, comment section. Let us know what you guys are giving up for Lent as well. I'm very curious to see
Comment sections. That's what I'm giving up.
There you go. So what are you? First of all, what are you giving up? And then what are your guys think of the practices? Can't talk. What do you think of the practice of, instead of giving something up, taking something up, like prayer or praying,
Oh no! I mean, one thing I'm give something up. No prayer for Lent. Are you kidding?
Why would you do prayer?
Just
Come on.
adding to my miseries.
Or like, I'm going to read a whole book.
I mean, it's really three things that we're instructed to do.
Yeah.
At Lent, and prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. So you got to do all three.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I do notice that people have a kind of a social justice-y Lent that they do, and it's not a social justice holiday. Like, it's not like social justice time. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where it's like, it's not that I'm giving something up. I'm gonna, I don't know, do whatever my social justice thing is.
I'm going to go on marches this weekend and every weekend.
That's not what it's about. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing bad about social justice. I like all kinds of justice. But I'm a big fan of justice. Did you know that?
I like immediate and severe justice. Are my favorite kinds. So.
I kind of believe that about you. I can't remember what it was. Oh yeah,
Well, what's an example?
Like
what's a social justice-y thing? Go on a march or something?
No, I don't know. I don't mean that. But like, I'm gonna.
Because almsgiving and feeding the poor and clothing the hungry, all the corporal works of mercy, are those social justice to you, or are they distinct in your mind?
No, they're distinct in my mind, but I can't think of a concrete example. I just know that I've heard people.
The thing that gets me is not that. It's, I'm going to fast from harsh speech this Lent.
Wait, that's what. Go ahead.
Oh gosh, that's right. I forgot about that. Maybe that's why it was in my head. But let me take a different example.
Do you know what we're talking about?
No.
Pope Leo actually said that.
Pope Leo. He said fast from harsh speech, and then he's all making fun of the Pope. As a Catholic show, I would just like to say what the Pope says. Some of the dumbest stuff I've ever heard.
In a figurative sense, absolutely. We drive our bodies and we make them more slaves so that we can be more charitable, so that we can be more prayerful. Sure. So that's kind of the root foundation of other works that we do and prayer that we do. But giving up things that are sinful, even venially sinful, that's not a fast. Maybe that's a product. That's a consequence of having fasted,
right?
Because you have more self-mastery. But that should not be where you place your focus.
Although, what about this? Like
Giving up on losing my temper.
Let's say somebody is a just inveterate gambler, and that's to the point where it's sinful. Like, I think if that person was like, I'm going to give up gambling for Lent, like, people will go, well, it's not a time to give up a sin. It's time to do. Well, why not have it be a time to give up a sin? Like,
But
you got a better time to give up a
gambling's
sin?
not a sin, and neither is drinking. So if you do something to excess, but you give
That's what
up
I'm
doing
talking about, the
you give
excess.
up doing it entirely,
Oh, I see.
then you've made a true sacrifice. You've kind of
Well, say someone's or does pornography or has a pornography addiction. All right, so it's always sinful. There's nothing that.
correct. So
Okay.
that's
There's nothing. I think if someone was like really has trouble with pornography, and then at the beginning of Lent was like, I'm not doing any pornography. I'm not looking at any of this stuff.
no crack for me the next 40 days.
I think that's good. Like, I don't understand why people get mad at people about, oh, that's not giving something up. Yeah, it is.
I think if someone said I've got this vice, and if I for some reason were spiritually counseling this person, I would say, fast from things that are good, and you'll find yourself better able to
I
avoid
see.
the vices.
Yeah, right.
What do you think about the people that use this for like weight loss goals? Like, I'm going to do intermittent fasting. I'm going to fast because it's going to help me with my weight loss goals.
Everything I do is related to weight loss. I completely support those people. I think they are like 100% right.
You know, T.S. Eliot in Murder in the Cathedral says the last temptation is the greatest treason, to do the right deed for the wrong reason. And we must be very careful about that. I like the side benefit of curbing some of my, tempering some of my appetites during Lent. And if I lose a few pounds, it's a bonus. But I have to be very careful how I order those things in my mind.
Well, I guess that's why I was saying that about the social justice-y things. You know, I know that I can't think of an example, but I'm going to think of it as soon as this show is over. But there does seem to be this, you know, God wants you to pray, fast, and give alms as a means of deepening your love of Him and your love of neighbor. It's not about all these other peripheral things. It's not like, you know, I don't know. I can't think of it. Like I said, I'm stuck for examples, but it's certainly not about weight loss, although God doesn't mind if you lose weight. Like, one of the side effects of becoming a disciplined person, and one of the things we do is discipline ourselves in Lent, is you get all kinds of good things. Yeah. You know, you're
Even on a natural level.
Yeah. So it's not to enjoy the natural goods that come from your efforts to live the life that the church commends to you. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. That's not a bad thing.
No, it's just about ordering your intention, I think, like I said.
Yeah.
And it's easy to fall into a disorder, so it's not as cut and dry, I think, as it might seem.
Pino with Pio, another one of our viewers, he said he's giving up social media for Lent, which I've considered, because I will say I am an addict to social media. It's so hard to stop scrolling, and especially now I'm realizing with an 8-month-old, how much it's taking me away from actually interacting with him. So I guess that's one of the.
That's a great example of what we're just talking about.
Yeah.
So you give this thing up, and you shouldn't be, and it's a real sacrifice, and you shouldn't be ashamed of the fact that it also gives you peace of mind, having stopped doom scrolling X, and gives you more time with your son.
Yep.
That shouldn't be your first intention.
But there's nothing. I mean, that's a good consequence of attempting to do good.
And I think isn't that the order of the moral universe anyway?
Yes.
When we follow God's rules, it tends toward our happiness in every area.
Yeah.
So that should be the natural consequences for everything that we're giving up for Lent, right?
I don't see any benefits to giving up chocolate. I don't understand why. I don't see any natural or supernatural benefits from that. But why? I want to go back to why you disagree with Pope Leo about harsh speech. Were you saying that because you think harsh speech is a sin?
I just want it to be clear that I have
That you hate Pope Leo.
I've been on.
No,
this
I
has
think
been a
it will.
hobby horse of mine long before
Leo
Pope
did it.
Leo said that.
Yeah.
And it's a kind. In anyone else's mouths but the Holy Father, it comes across to me as a kind of pat sentiment. This year, instead of doing some kind of traditional, bodily mortification, just be nicer to everybody or something like that.
Oh, yeah, right.
And I think that implicit in that is a denigration of the church's traditional prescriptions.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think that it is like we don't want to do it. I don't know. We want to somehow put our twist on it, and we don't want to just do it like boring old Lent, same way people have been doing it for however long we've had Lent. And
I'm sure that what the Holy Father meant was, don't just make giving up chocolate the end. You give up chocolate so that you become more a master of yourself and more receptive to grace. And when you do that, all of a sudden you're not speaking harshly or judging others or whatever other vice you're habituated to. So there's a sequence there of things that you do. I'm sure that's what Pope Leo meant when he spoke that way.
Well, I think we're getting to know Pope Leo, but he really, really seems to be a guy who is very bothered by the fact that there's so little peace in the world. I mean, and he should be. I mean, that should bother. But his prescriptions often are things that will just look. Can we just be a little more peaceful? Could we? Does it always have to be fighting, arguing? And then all the things that come from that. So I do think it's kind of consistent with his basic disposition, which is everybody calm down. I think it's been almost a year now of everybody just settle down, simmer down. As my mother used to
I
say.
also think it's really possible to fall into a Lenten trap. I have done this, that views it as like being on a Survivor Island kind of challenge. Like I'm just here to endure this suffering, and when it's over, thank goodness, and I'll get back to what I was doing, just almost for its own sake, as a kind of like test.
Yeah.
But the Holy Father reminds us, and any good pastor will remind us, that the suffering that we willingly undertake is ordered to something. It's ordered to virtue. It's everything we were talking about earlier. And when we lose sight of that connection, it's right for our leaders to make it for us again.
Yeah. And man, I hope more people get. I mean, like, there's nothing sinful in the social media, but it does.
Have you been on Trent's comment section?
I know that. I guess there's a lot going on that's sinful, but it's not inherently of its nature sinful. But I think that's a good example of one of those things that where giving it up brings just so many different levels of benefit. And I do think, too, we do live in a world of plenty. And some of the dietary restrictions, it's not that, some people kind of poo-poo it as, oh, you're just giving up, whatever the food is. I'd say don't poo-poo that. This is a big problem that we have of luxuriating in all the food options that we have. If someone can get for
the first time in human history, probably our generation, in the entire Western world anyway, and in a lot of the rest of the world, there is essentially no want, except where it's manufactured by malicious
evil communist dictators.
For example,
that's what I like to say. That's my phrase for that. Yeah, but like in the Middle Ages, nobody gave up chocolate in the Middle Ages. Because nobody had chocolate in the Middle Ages. It wasn't the reason we have to give it up is because we got so much of it.
So it feels kind of weird, though, that when we enter into a time of so much excess, the bishops say you don't necessarily have to fast from meat on every Friday. I know, kind of slightly changing topic there, but
wait, that's not fasting. That's abstaining.
Sorry, abstaining from meat. So,
and some of the bishops say you don't have to.
Well, what's the? Didn't they change that from being mandatory for Catholics abstaining from meat every Friday of the year?
Oh, yes, that's right.
So we're living in a time of excess to even more excess as the years are going on, and it felt kind of weird to hear the bishop say, well, because it's not technically a luxury anymore, you don't have to abstain from that. You can abstain from something else. But am I wrong on that?
I'm sure people have had all kinds of justifications on that. That
In England, you do, by the way. In England and Wales and Scotland, I think the bishops' conference there has made abstinence from meat ordinary on every Friday.
for the whole year.
Well, not during Easter, I guess, but
So you can't eat any boiled meat or blood sausage.
yeah, they have weird
That's what
ways.
they're giving up.
Haggis.
Good for them. Congratulations, England.
But you make a really good point, Edgar. We have the fattest, softest Christendom in history, and we have the easiest precepts laid out in front of us.
Yeah.
Compare with our forebears.
I know, but it's a hard one because, like, society did actually change so much over the last 200 years, and then particularly over the last 50 years, that it's hard to know. Like, I think there is some wisdom in what the bishops have done, but I don't know where I was going to go with that quite. But I think that the basic point is correct that you made, that it's like we have so much now, we don't want to give up anything.
Or
Like
we have less. We have soft expectations. What is it? The soft bigotry of low expectation. We have low expectations, or our pastors do, of just what we're capable of.
Yeah.
When it comes to any number of
I can
precepts.
generally meet people's low expectations. I found that I am quite
Si,
capable.
you do for me all the time.
Thank
know
you
that?
very much.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. All right, we got a guest we're gonna bring on here.
have a guest.
You can hang around for our guest if you want. It's Justin West. He's a catechist, and I think we heard about him from the National Catholic
Register.
That's
right.
They
Is he
did an
taking my
article
chair?
on him. No, that's him right there. He's on the screen. He's joining us.
hello.
Join us there. Hi, Justin.
Oh, how are you guys?
Really good. Is everything working? We got Justin in there. He's in the mix. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I just wanted to make sure our listeners could hear you. We're going to play one of your videos in a minute. But this is, you're the guy who said, you know what, I'm just going to use AI and I'm going to explain the Catholic faith in song. And tell us a little bit about how that happened. What happened?
What happened in 30 seconds or less? I don't know.
No, I didn't say you have 30 seconds or less. Take your time. Expand.
I'm a revert to the faith. I'm a marketer by trade. I spend a lot of my time. I work from home. I spend a lot of my time playing with tools and just trying to figure out ways to communicate messages. I've been a catechist for 20 some odd years. I grew up. I cut my teeth. I reverted to the faith because of Catholic Answers. You guys are a huge part of my story. And in fact, if anyone's listening and you're not already a subscriber, subscribe to their channel and donate some money, because my goodness, you should be doing that. Give some alms over the
Best
the
guest
season.
ever. Best guest
Should have had
ever.
him on during radio drive.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, and shameless plug, I'm on your founder's circle or whatever. Like, I've been supporting you guys for years.
Oh,
so
God bless
I
you.
love,
Thank you,
I love
Justin.
what you do, and I think it's one of the most important apostolates out there. But anyway, so I've been spending the last 20 years channeling my inner Jimmy Akin, right? Engaging with people online, having discussions. I'm an OCI director now. I've been doing catechetics for about 20 years after I reverted to the faith, and I've spent a lot of time just trying to find ways to communicate the faith. I recommend everyone listen to the show on a regular basis for the same reason. If you want to learn to play a musical instrument, you have to play the same note 100 times, but every time you play it, you get better. You get that muscle memory. You learn how to, like, explain it better. You learn how to play that note and shift on the fly. It's the same thing with apologetics. When you hear the same question answered 100 different ways, very similarly but slightly different, you become, I don't say an expert, but you get really good at learning how to answer those questions.
Yeah.
And listening to this program has literally been one of the things that's helped me do that over the years. And so I was playing with some tools. I'm a writer by trade. That's what I do. Marketing and writing, and I was like, I know I can explain this in a catchy way, but I'm not musically inclined. My wife is, I'm not, and so I had some tools to make digital music available to me, and I decided I would go ahead and make some music. And I've been doing this since the very tail end of November, so we're literally not even 3 months in.
Yeah.
And millions of people have seen the music. I have OCI directors, I have catechists, I have theology teachers saying, hey, I'm sharing this with my students. They're loving it. I've had people say I'm coming back to the faith because I've never heard it explained this way, and it makes sense finally, and whatnot. And it's all just the Holy Spirit at the end of the day. I'm just a schmuck.
It's the Holy Spirit and a large amount of computer processing. But the thing is, like, what you did is not impossible. And someone else could have thought of this, but they didn't. And that's, I think, where the Holy Spirit is with you on this. And now thousands of people are watching these videos, and they do a really good job in a musical way of explaining. Like one of the ones I watched was, probably a lot of people have watched this one, the Immaculate Conception
that was the first
video.
one that got me national attention. Absolutely.
Yeah, but like you've got one for today. How about if we play it so people will see what you do? But you're not playing any instruments on this. You're not singing on this.
It's digital.
So what do? You give a prompt to something, or how does it work?
So what I normally say, I don't like to say what I'm doing is creating AI music, because when people hear that, there's a percentage of the population who just hears that and their eyes glaze over and they don't even want to be involved with it. But at the end of the day, that's what I'm doing. I'm using technology to create a seed, and then I tweak that. I use different platforms and different softwares to make the music and then tweak it to make it sound the way I want. I'll go through 30 or 40 or 50 iterations of a song. So it's not as simple as, go to ChatGPT and write in X, Y, and Z and you get a song. And I take care of the lyrics myself. I don't trust AI to not hallucinate.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. You're writing these lyrics?
The Trinity is the Father, the Son, the Mother, and the Spirit. All of a sudden you got these weird hallucinations in there. So I write them all. Now I'll use a rhyming dictionary. I'll use ChatGPT if I can't get the cadence or the flow or whatever. Especially because I'm kind of producing at scale at this point. But yeah, the heart, the soul, the words, those are all mine. But I'm using technology to get the sound out.
It's very cool. It's very cool. You're going to play a little bit of. I think we're going to play some of your. Today's Shrove Tuesday, of course, the day before the beginning of Lent, and here's what Justin West came up with for today.
Shrove it like you mean it. Shrove it like you mean it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Fat Tuesday, but keep it Catholic, people. It's not sin now. Apologize later. It's clear the slate. Meet your Savior. Shrove Tuesday, shriven confession. House cleaning, but soul edition. Back when butter was gold, folks used up what wouldn't hold.
I love that part.
Eggs and cream, sugar and spice, so Lent could start clean and nice. We're a feasting and fasting kind of crew. Joy with a spine and a purpose too. Shrove it like you mean it. Clean the pantry, clean the heart. Flip the griddle, drop the fry. Let tomorrow be a start. Feast with thanks, not with chains. Don't make appetite your king. It's Fat Tuesday, not free sin day.
Okay, that's good. That's very good. Thank you. And that is just wonderful. Yeah. And so now, are you aiming these adults, kids who, like you said, you used to be RCIA, then you got promoted to OCIA, but I assume your cohort is adults?
I'm aiming them at myself. At the end of the day, I wanted to make something that I would like to hear. I mean, I grew up, I'm a kid of the 80s and the 90s. I grew up on Animaniacs and Weird Al Yankovic and the Miami Giants. These bands, even Cake, bands that will do kind of a talk song, and they're entertaining but educational, edutainment, right? And so I really just wanted to make something that communicated the faith as quickly and succinctly as possible. I've done a lot of online apologetics over the years, and one of the things I run into all the time is people who do shotgun apologetics. I'm sure you're familiar with that, or the Gish Gallop, but they give you, here's 15 things you Catholics believe, and if even one of those are right, then I win, but you don't have time to respond to them all. And I will sit down and I'll shoot a video and I'll literally walk people through. It takes an hour and a half. I'll walk them through. Here's why this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is not right. But I wanted to find a way to almost counteract that and give all of the answers in as short and pithy as a way as possible that was still engaging and would get people to pay attention. And honestly, there's something to be said for being charming, right? I don't know that I'm the charmingest person ever, but if you make people laugh, if you make somebody smile, you disarm them, and they're far more likely to want to hear what it is you have to say. And again, I've had so many people, agnostics, Baptists, Pentecostals, Lutherans, all come to me and say, I love what you're doing. Keep it up. I don't agree with you on everything, but I love what you're doing. So,
well, I mean, when I this is the kind of stuff we would have loved to play in the car when we had the kids.
I've not had I've had no small number of people say we are listening to your music in the car on a 6-hour car trip with our kids, and we didn't get bored of it. I have 3,000 to 5,000 people a day streaming on Spotify and Apple right now. Like, it's blown up quickly because, again, you said it correctly, Si. There was a need in the marketplace at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I noticed is when you ever have music or film that try to give a religious message, they always put the religious message forward, and you tend to sacrifice the art side of it, and a lot of times the beauty of the art doesn't come through. But with this, like you said, you can listen to this in the car. Like, this is something when I started listening to the songs, I was like, I can jam out to this. I can, on my way to work or on my way home, I'll listen to this merely as a sense of entertainment, while at the same time getting that education of the Catholic faith.
And I've ridden in his car. He usually listens to Mexican gangster rap. I'm not even joking. I'm not even making that up. He usually listens to Mexican gangster rap. And
only on Saturdays.
It's Saturdays? I didn't know that. So the other thing about it is, though, and I couldn't agree more with everything that Edgar just said, but it's not dumbed down. It's you didn't you didn't make it like dumbed down. I don't know. It's good theology. It's good philosophy.
Thank you. I have a degree in philosophy, so I'm putting it to use finally, right?
Yeah, most people never do. So
yeah. I can ask the deep questions in life. That's my constant joke. I can ask the deep questions like paper or plastic, or you want fries with that? So finally putting it to use.
Well, which ones have you liked? Like, if I said to you, okay, so there's people listening right now. They're like, okay, I'm going to try these. Give them a couple that they could try, 2, 3 that they could try, and they'd get a flavor for what you're doing.
So if you go, you can search me on any of the channels you're on: YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, TikTok, Twitter. Look for Peter's Bark, and you can go through all of them. If I were to pick a couple that are really, so the Immaculate Conception is one that I think that everyone just hit really deeply with.
Yeah.
The Lamb said what he said, which is about the Eucharist and the real presence. I really love the way that one ends up. I just put one out, I think this was last week, and it was called Before the Ink Was Dry. And it's about how before a single, letter of the New Testament was written, we already had a church that was there and was living and teaching the faith. And it begins with the idea of, if you were to write down everything Jesus wrote down, what would you have? You'd have one thing he wrote in the sand that nobody even took mind of recording, right? But he gave us a church, and that is the way that the church is meant. It's the way the faith is meant to be passed on. So those would be the ones. I mean, there's a lot. I've done a handful of saints. I do gunslinger ballads for saints. So I started with Saint Lawrence, epic story, martyrdom, turn you over on the side. I did Joan of Arc and Jose Sanchez del Rio, Viva Cristo Rey.
Oh yeah.
I have one on Polycarp. Yeah, the kid. I have one on Polycarp coming out on his feast day at the end of this month as well. So
I got to hear the Polycarp one. That's cool. Polycarp knew John the Apostle. This always kills me that people don't know there's a guy who knew John the Apostle who wrote stuff down.
And his name was Polycarp.
Yeah, and also that's a cool name, Polycarp.
I gotta say, my favorite one is the key turns. Is it, or is it, am I getting the name right?
Yeah.
The key still turns. That's a great one. So highly recommend
that one was dedicated to my Orthodox brothers and sisters, who I absolutely love, and they're our apostolic brethren. But Rome is Rome.
Yeah.
So you're gonna how often you're gonna keep putting out a new one? What do you?
My current cadence is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If I can keep that up as long as I can, as long as the Holy Spirit will support me in this, I'm going to keep doing it, because it's my hobby. It's my passion. I could be playing video games or doing other nonsense, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to write some good catechetical stuff. And in a month or a year, I might just tap out and be like, okay, I need to step back. But the music will stay out there. I mean, more and more people are discovering it every single day. Keeps getting attention, national attention, you guys, everything else. So I'm hoping it just keeps growing. Even if I'm not intending to die in a car accident tomorrow, but if I die in a car accident tomorrow, this stuff will live on and hopefully, help people join the faith. It's my little contribution to the church. I'm here to build the kingdom and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum, as they say. Right?
And the thing about the music too is that there's a way in which learning, I guess that's why God gave us 150 Psalms, is learning a lyric, it stays with you in a way that, I know that there's people that'll listen to some of these songs, and there will be lines that they'll still have in their mind 25, 30 years from now.
That's the hope. Yeah. That's the hope. And truth is infectious.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, and it's one of the things that gave me hope about it is it can be explained. It's not like the way you did the lyrics, like to take the Immaculate Conception one. It's not such a dry and esoteric subject that you can't learn the basics of it if somebody will just present it in a way that the mind wants to grab onto.
Yeah. Well, and that's the idea was, let's drill down. Let's do, instead of shotgun apologetics, let's do machine gun apologetics, right? Let's just hammer the spot. Let's hit it from all the different angles, the different objections people take. Let's answer all of them quickly and succinctly. And if we can do it with a little humor and a little snark and make someone feel a little silly for bringing the objection, even better. But if not, hopefully we've helped them to at least understand the reasonableness of our position. And ideally, especially in that song, it resolves in typology, right? So when you all of a sudden get them to see how this all links back to the woman and the child and the garden and the serpent, right? The penny drops for people when they see that, when they understand that, and all of a sudden, like, oh, maybe there's something to these Catholics. I still think they're weird. I'm still not a papist, but maybe there's something to these Catholics, right?
Yeah.
And as Paul says, I water, Apollos waters, or I plant, Apollos waters, but it's the Holy Spirit that makes it grow. I'm just out here watering and planting, and I'll let the Holy Spirit take care of the rest.
Yeah, there is definitely a bit of Catholic weirdness in you. You've got a little bit of the Catholic weirdness.
That's how we roll.
Yeah, that is how we roll. That's right.
That's how we roll.
Yeah, I linked the link to your channel on this video. So for those who are watching on Facebook or Twitch, you can go to YouTube and get that link so you guys can check it out.
Awesome.
Have you started having a list of I want to get to I got to do my Faith and Works song at some point. I got to do my Resurrection song at some point.
I already have multiples of those scripted and or produced. I have things scheduled right now through mid-March. And I already have like another 36 songs I'm in the process of writing. I'm always writing, and you'll see me, I'll step aside and I'll take notes, and like I have an idea for something or a way I want to phrase something, and then I'll come back and I'll work on it later. So I can't stop right now. Like I just can't. Like my brain won't turn off. So this is just where I am.
That seems very unhealthy. Yeah. Okay. Well, we have to go in a minute, but I want you to tell again people where people can. I know that this is what I know. If you just type in Peter's Bark in YouTube, you will get there. But give the full rundown. How can people find this really cool stuff?
So I put together as a digital marketer, I should be better at this. I put together a very lackluster website. It's Peter's Bark Music. That's BARQUE, bark like the bark of St. Peter. But also it's an onomatopoeia for barking because I am a little snarky in what I'm doing. But if you search me on whatever platform you're on, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube, whatever it is, go to Google and just type in Peter's Bark. I'm actually the #1 thing that shows up right now, even above the Holy See. So go figure.
Wow, very cool. All right, I'll tell you what, we got to go, but let's play his video. We'll play him out. All right. We'll Justin West, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And can you just let the video take up the whole screen for a couple minutes, and we'll just let people enjoy the Shrove Tuesday video again. And God bless you, brother. We'll talk again sometime. As these come out, let us know. We'll have you on to talk about what the new ones as they come out, okay?
I'll come on every Monday, Wednesday, Friday if you want. So.
Okay. Okay, well, call us. All right, let's play some video.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Justin.
Thank you, guys.
Cake, have a laugh, have one more hallelujah draft, but don't confuse the final feast with I can feed my inner beast. We're not afraid of fun, no, not at all, not at all. We just don't let fun become a fall. Shrove it like you mean it, clean the pantry, clean the heart, flip the griddle, drop the pride. Let tomorrow be a start. Feast with thanks, not with chains. Don't make appetite your king. It's Fat Tuesday, not free sin day. Shrove it like you mean it. 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 Tomorrow ashes, remember you are dust. Not shame, just truth and truth we trust. Fasting isn't earning love, it's making room for love above. So tonight we feast like people who know every good gift comes, then we let it go. Shrove it like you mean it, clean the 14 cold morning, Pyrenees in view.